Today, I'd like to introduce you all to Mr. Jaikaran. He's the president of the Indian Biodynamic Association and also one of the pioneering conservationist and environmentalist of our India. He has worked since the early 80s in the field of ecology and conservation. And after a meeting with Mr. Rauf Ali, famous ornithologist, he has triggered his interest in and passion in the ecology and to save the greenery and the animal life of this world. Now, he has also worked in farming and in organic cultivation of orchards, and one of the first to start an organic company in the very early days when it was much ahead of the times, and in the early 90s. And right now he has devoted his whole energy and time for the conservation. Being such an intelligent, well-educated man, he could have easily been a banker in some big corporation earning millions in jet setting, but he has sacrificed all that and taken on the field work propagating natural farming. And in that connection, right now he is primarily involved in a couple of NGOs and then in the Biodynamic Association work. Now, Mr. Jaikaran, I'd like to know what attracted you towards biodynamic system of farming.
Okay. Well, because I'd like to go back a few years behind. My interest in land management grew out of trying to find a solution for wasteland that we have in India. And from the early 80s till the mid 90s, you can say, I was mostly involved with working with tree planting, collecting seeds from forests with NGOs, and trying to start tree nurseries and trying to encourage small farmers to take up agroforestry as a alternate to farming.
Basically to increase the tree population.
Tree population, and also to have better land use, because a lot of the land were like wastelands, which they were only using for extensive grazing. So my interest in the environment came, at least the positive aspect of what I could do was by planting trees and trying to save indigenous tree varieties and trying to propagate them. Then my family, we were at that time in the field of bus transportation, and we felt the government would nationalize our bus, the private bus sector. So in the early 80s, around the same time I was interested in tree planting, my extended family, we decided to move into fruit cultivation, cultivating mangoes, cashew, sapotas, different kinds of fruit, tamarind and things like this. So over the years, we developed a lot of wasteland into productive fruit orchards, and one thing led to the other, and in 1990 I set up a small organic fruit processing company to process the mangoes and the sapotas and the other coffee that we were cultivating in that time.
And there is no market at that time for organic products?
Not in India, but abroad it was already a well-established market in Europe, and much more than in the US at that time in the 90s. At that time I got an inquiry from one German buyer who asked me if I had Demeter quality mangoes. So in the beginning I was so stupid, I thought Demeter meant some particular variety of mango, like an Alfonso or a Neelam or something like Totapuri. So I asked, what is this variety of mango? And then they said that it was a method of cultivating the land, that you do it, and if you did it in a particular way, you get a brand or a certificate called Demeter. And that was how I started. That was my introduction to biodynamics in the early 90s. At that time, because we were very lucky to have a wonderful teacher from New Zealand called Mr. Peter Proctor, who was already in his mid-60s at that time when he came to India. And although the biodynamic method, which is a method of farming introduced to the world by a German or an Austrian philosopher called Rudolf Steiner, it took a long, long time for those ideas to reach India. It did not come from the West. Rather, it came from the east, from New Zealand. And Peter Proctor, being such a good teacher, he did away with many of the old-fashioned ideas from mainland Europe, and he presented this idea in a very holistic, in a different perspective to us in India. And although I was fairly well aware of the organic movement, attended many programs, but I found that the biodynamic method had something very unique to offer us. Meaning, in organic farming, we are very, very earth-bound. We look at only the earthly influences and things like that. Whereas we forget that we are living on a planet which is slipping through space, and which also has another dimension, the cosmic dimension. We get so much of energy from, it's obvious we get a lot of energy from the sun, from the moon. But if you go back into our old ancient ideas, not only in India, across the world, people did believe that there was a lot of influence coming from the different constellations, from the
moon
planet,
cycle and all.
moon cycle, the planetary cycles. So biodynamic farming in a way incorporates this other dimension to agriculture, where we believe that plants are influenced by cosmic rhythms. And if we understand how to work with those cosmic and the lunar rhythms, in a way we synchronize the growing of the crop with these rhythms. And another interesting aspect of biodynamic farming is it offers certain, you can say like medicines, what are known as preparations, which are used in a homeopathic manner in very small quantities.
Like triggers, like catalyst.
I'd say yes, like catalyst, something like inoculants, you can say. A lot of it is made from cow manure, and like a thing known as the cow horn manure. It's made by filling cow manure in a cow horn, and after 6 months you get a kind of a biofertilizer, which if you introduce in the soil by stirring it in water, you sort of restock the missing, what shall I say, all the biological life, the energies, you can say, which we have destroyed either because of chemical farming or because we cleared the trees and the soil is scorched, that there is no bio-life, it sort of sterilizes the soil. There's one way of reintroducing this aspect of a living soil.
So these unique features of biodynamic movement, that is one of the cosmic element of it,
Yeah.
planets and all.
Yes.
And second is these preparations.
Yeah.
These attracted you in the beginning towards the biodynamic.
Yes, it sort of made me feel that it completed the picture of organic
More
farming.
holistic.
Yes, it was more like the icing on top of the cake. In the organic farming system, it was like the final, or giving a very good perspective to the thing.
One of the things led you to the association.
Yes, because at the moment, a lot of the products, India is a very major player, I mean a big player in the world biodynamic movement. But what I believe is a lot of these movements are in some ways consumer driven. It's not so much only the grower aspect. India does grow a lot of biodynamic teas, cotton, fruits, spices. But at the moment it seems to be more export driven to a market where people recognize that biodynamic food is very good quality food. It's not just food without chemicals, but it's much more than just no chemicals in the food or a good system of land management. Yeah. Yes.
So that led you into the association.
National association. We felt that we need to have an association so that we can take this message to the small farmers. Because at one level, the corporate, well-managed plantations, they have all the resources and the manpower and the knowledge. But getting this knowledge out to the millions of farmers who are actually doing the work was a major challenge. And our experience seems to show that our farmers take to this idea very, very easily.
They're quite receptive.
Receptive because of people do have a very strong belief in the influence of the astro, much more than any country in the world. Of course, people use it a lot for horoscopes and other things. But still, in every part of India, wherever you go, people do believe that the cosmic does influence life on earth. And then the importance of working with animal cow manure based
It's already
preparation
there.
is already there, and they also find it okay. It's another new medicine that we are making from our Lakshmi, from the cow, the goddess of fertility.
Now,
Yeah.
the association is based in Bangalore.
At the moment, yes, our registered office is based in Bangalore.
And if
Vikas.
people want to consult you for advice or have you conduct some short-term courses,
At
how
the,
do they do it?
At the moment, we have two 10-day programs twice a year in Kodaikanal, because in Biodynamic we also work with some 6 herbs which we use in a way to bring back
So
missing
what we'll
trace
do,
elements.
you give me you can tell the address,
Yeah.
because many of the viewers are
Yes.
small farmers, they like to contact
Yes.
you. They can
So our
directly
web
come.
page is www.biodynamics, BIODYNAMICS, biodynamics.in.
Just repeat that.
Yeah, www.biodynamics.in, IN for India.
And if people write an email to you, they can
Yes,
get details of those
of
courses.
the thing, and also in our web page, all this information of the courses, when they are being held, all this information is there.
And it's a 10-day residential course.
Yes, at the moment it's in English, but we are also doing in regional languages, in Tamil, in Karnataka. There are some NGOs working with farmers
And twice a
talking in
year.
the-
The
Yes.
week is twice a year in
this full-
Kodaikanal.
In Kodaikanal, yes.
And there's accommodation and food also provided.
Yes, it's a fully residential program. We stay in a monastery in the hills, and we have a herbal garden about 1 kilometer from this monastery where these herbs are all grown. And we have about 5-6 resource people who come and spend the week, 10 days with us.
And is it an expensive course?
By our Indian standards, yes, I would think, because staying in the hills is not
About
so
how
easy.
much do you think it will cost
It costs about 10,000 rupees for this,
for the whole thing?
for the whole course, accommodation, food, and the training cost.
10 days.
Yeah, come
And you get a
$250.
certificate or something
Yes,
like
from the association that you participated in a introductory course in biodynamics. Yeah.
that? And this will be beneficial for people who are intending to get into farming and also the already into farming.
Yes, because definitely. But it's more interesting for people who are doing vegetable and fruit cultivation.
Primarily
Ra-
focused on vegetables.
On vegetables, cereals, more on crop cultivation. For the bigger picture of growing trees to reclothe the 100 million hectares of wasteland, probably. But biodynamic farming is a holistic farming. It doesn't talk only about these preparations or the cosmic element. It generally takes into account a holistic land management.
And it
where
includes
trees-
the animal husbandry.
Animal husbandry is given a lot of importance. A farm is supposed to be like an organism, where it takes on the character of the farmer himself. Yeah.
So with this we'll conclude the first interview about the Biodynamic Association and some of its activities.